Have you ever found yourself in the workplace asking, is it my vocabulary? Is it the way I understood English from the school? But there's just something missing. I don't come across as polished, as professional in the way that I speak when I speak at work. Sometimes people might even think, you're rude. Or what's wrong? Because you're not using the right grammars, sentences, and phrases. And I created this segment, What the English, just for you. And on this segment, we have our amazing expert, our English teacher, Lebo, that helps you to use English for the workplace in a way that comes across more polished, professional, in a way that also helps you to leave the rooms knowing you've made a great impact.
What the English?
So, we have voice notes that you've sent us on WhatsApp. Let's hear today's voice note question that Lebo will tackle for us here.
Hi, Lebo. Hi, Palesa. So I think this is my question, right? I struggle with disagreeing at work in English, and I don't want to sound too disrespectful, but also obviously I just don't want to agree to everything. So how can I give my opinion or disagree in a very respectful way and still sound confident? Thank you.
Okay, yes, so that is a very important question because in the workplace, disagreements are always going to happen. It's not optional, it's expected. So, this problem of how do you disagree without being rude, without being confrontational or disrespectful comes up with a lot of people. And I think, especially if English is not your first language, you might feel like you don't want to disagree with someone because you don't know how to express yourself in a polite way. So I think it's always best to remember that disagreements are professional. It's not disrespectful. It's just how you go about disagreeing that is important. So we're going to look at a few tips that I can give you. The first thing that I would say is what not to do. So you want to, or you rather don't want to start by saying, I disagree, or you're wrong, that's not correct. You don't want to point out that you know better than somebody else. So a better way of doing that, I would say, is to first acknowledge what the person has said. And you can do that by saying things like, I see your point. I understand what you're saying, or that's a valid perspective, showing that you acknowledge the other person's effort, their perspective, their thought process. So you're already starting off with a polite and respectful response. And then the second thing to do after acknowledging them is to introduce your point using soft connectors. So connectors are ways to join your phrases together. So now you've started with acknowledging what they've said, and now you want to add in your opinion or what you think. So one of the connectors that you could put is however. So that's a good point. However, and then you would go on to expressing your opinion. And a way that you could do that as well is also by adding modal verbs. So, however, you could look at it this way, or however, I believe that this is the right way to do it. So, not always asserting that your way is the right way, but acknowledging that there could be different perspectives, there could be different understandings of whatever problem or issue that you are facing. I think that is probably the best advice I could give in terms of how to disagree in a professional setting.
Oh, that's amazing advice. I love how you just had a way to simplify how to add those modal verbs to not come across as aggressive. And remember, always take that pause. The faster you speak, the more emotional you're going to come across. So pause and speak at a slower pace in order for the person to understand that you are controlled and you are deciding the direction of your words, sentences, and phrases. That was an amazing voice note. You see how easy it is to send it in? Send in your questions to us on our WhatsApp line 071 184 8406. Remember, it should only be 1 minute long. And I will bring our expert along again to help you with your What the English questions that you might have. From us here at Unforgettable Speakers, remember, remain unforgettable.